even on days when it snows. We're a Yoo-hoo family. Chocolate drink.
And good morning. Welcome to the Lone Angler Podcast. I am Patrick. Thank you for joining me here this crispy morning. I'm in northern Minnesota. That's where I'm at. If you're new here, I welcome you. Hang around. We've got some good stories and a few weird things to talk about and some laughs and all that good stuff. What should we start with? I am just drawing a blank. It's been a weekend. It's been a weekend of rest and relaxation, a lot of sleep. For some reason, I just felt the need to sleep like a maniac. I did get out and did a little fishing. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But, and I got a bunch of other stuff coming up here on the show. And right off the bat, I want to thank Panfish Pursuers, P3 Plastics for supporting the Lone Angler. And I'd like to thank you guys for supporting them. Those guys push so much plastisol because of you and this show. It's crazy. And so as a big thank you, I have a code for you, and it's OG SPUG with 2 G's, 15 for 15% off your order. How's that sound? I think it's a good deal. It's a good deal, especially if you pick up some pro packs. I think they're $49.99, and I don't want to do the math on that right now, but you can get a Lone Angler pro pack. Those guys reach out to me and asked me about my favorite shapes, sizes, and colors here for northern Minnesota bluegills and crappies. And so I laid it out reluctantly, and now it's a pro pack. They pulled the same shenanigans on my boy Crafty too, so he's got a pro pack there. But phenomenal stuff, man. They really know how to put fish in the boat. Big thank you to Ridgetop Outdoors, local Bemidji outfitting place here in the southern part of the town. As you're coming up Highway 71 from the south, or you're coming east or west on Highway 2, you want to make that exit or pull over and slide right on in there to Ridgetop Outdoors. They've got all your live bait needs. They got ice fishing stuff. They got a few shelters. They got some augers, all the jigs and everything that you would need. Propane. They're right next to a gas station too, so you can get your propane tanks filled up. Fill up the truck, everything, one-stop shop. So swing on in the Ridgetop Outdoors next time you're coming up through the Bemidji area. All right, let's slide into this episode. I keep leaning away from the microphone because I'm still not a professional. Been doing this almost 3 years now, not counting the broken line stuff, and I still find myself doing everything you shouldn't be doing. But hey, it's a podcast, whatever. We're bringing back the sips. That's right. It's still winter here in Minnesota. It's still dry as hell. I got a big old bottle of water here, and I'm hooked on this Mio energy shots, or these little Mio liquid water flavor things, the energy ones. Damn, they're good. And this one's blue. I don't know if it's Mystic Mountain Blueberry. Shout out to Talladega Nights on that one. But it's pretty damn good stuff, so I'm going to take a little quick sip here. Hang on. All right, and I'm going to leave the cap off of that so that I can spill it, because that's going to happen. I talk a lot with my hands, too. Maybe I should do this video format. You can find the Lone Angler Podcast on YouTube as well. It's just pretty much my logo just sitting there static, but I'm gonna look more into that kind of stuff, too. I don't know if I'm ever going to do any video of this podcast. I want to just kind of keep it audio because I don't have time. I just don't have time for all that stuff. Right now, the Table of Chaos, a little update on that. There is 3D printing filament scraps everywhere. That's right. Friday night, I fired up the little 3D printer for the first time. I finished getting it all together. I'm messing around. I had a failed print, but then I ran the file again and it turned out beautifully. And then I printed some more stuff. There's going to be more on that later. I can't really say anything right now, but there's some stuff that's going to be being printed for somebody. And it's going to be kind of exciting. It's a rough Sunday night. My daughter just texted me too. I gave her the opportunity to give me a call here on the old FaceTime machine, and she said no, she was busy, and then I said I have to make this show, and she just responded with, okay. Her texting is very straight to the point. I've gotten used to it. It's also very hilarious. She has discovered GIFs or GIFs, whatever. I don't know. I think the internet's still fighting about that one. It's probably right there, right below pineapple on pizza, because those are very important topics. Anyway, yeah, it's always a joy to get a text message from her. Anyway, we're going to start this sucker off with a little bit of some news. Now, I was thumbing through the internet like I do every once in a great while, and I came across this article from not Fur Fishing Game. Oh, there's a throwback. I think it's still in print. Guys, let me know if Fur Fishing Game is still in print. But this article here is from Field and Stream. The title of the article is Local Anglers Dominate Crappie Fishing Tournament with Cane Poles. Bingo. Now this hit home. I'm very, as you know, or as you're about to find out, I'm kind of an old school throwback kind of guy once in a while. Like, I don't like to forget about, the fundamentals or where it all began. Sometimes it's fun to revisit these things, but these two anglers did that very same thing, and they won a $10,000 Crappie Masters. It was the 2022 kickoff tournament, January 21st and 22nd on the St. Johns River in Florida. They fished from a nondescript 13-foot John boat, no electronics, and used fly rods without reels. Now, getting into these fly rods, I just so happen to do a little bit of homework here, and they are 10-foot, 10-weight fly rods, no guides on them. They're custom built. They just have one guide on the tip end, and now they were tying directly to that guide 10 feet of 10-pound monofilament. That's it. And they had their jig and what they call a cork, or what we call up here in the Northland a bobber, or a float. Yeah, just a traditional cane pole type setup, but in graphite. And they won $10,000 doing that. And that time of the year, it was pre-spawn, and so they were just tooling around and fishing lily pads and brush piles and picking them off. Their biggest fish was a 2-pound, 2-ounce crappie, but $10,000. No high performance boat, just a little John boat and some, somewhat modified fly rod blanks. Just did her cane pole style. I think that is super cool. I want to find these guys. I should get them on this show and we can talk about it. They didn't even have any reels on them. In that article, he said, I don't need reels. And also in that article, they stated too, that's how they grew up crappie fishing. They're a couple older gentlemen, and they played to their strengths. I would assume that's what I got from the article. They played to their strengths and their knowledge of that river, and they beat out dudes that are running spider rigs and big boats and all the fancy electronics, and they pulled it off. So congratulations to those guys. I think that's super cool. I always get excited when I come across something like that. Whew. So there's a bit of some news for you. Earlier I mentioned that there was a weekend of sleep, and that's exactly what I did. I just felt the need to just crash out. Whenever I woke up, and it worked out perfectly. So Saturday, I wake up about 9:30 in the morning, which is pretty late for me. I usually get up for work at around 10 to 4 to 4:30, somewhere in there, Monday through Friday. And I have to be to work at 6, and you're probably thinking, wow, man, that's pretty early. Well, I only live about 12 to 15 minutes from work. But it takes a little bit for this old machine to get moving in the morning, and I can't do any sudden movements because I'll fall apart. I like to relax, get a cup of coffee in me, and the way the weather's been, minus 40, some super cold stuff. I got to walk all the way out downstairs, cross the street, start up the car, walk back in, all that kind of stuff. So sleeping in 9:30 felt pretty damn good. Saturday, I decided since it wasn't 40 below zero and we were looking at, in the 20s, I decided I'm going to do a little bit of ice fishing. I went on my second trip. First time I went out, I took Ellen out on New Year's Eve, or not New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. And we went out for about an hour and a half. Pretty windy. We caught some fish. She got cold and we bailed. So it was a very similar situation, except the wind wasn't as bad when I got out there. And this was also the Strike Master Guide Lights maiden voyage for me. And I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I walked out on Lake Bemidji and punched a few holes. I met a really cool dude who he was out of town. He works for the railroad in North Dakota, and then he was doing he had to be in Bemidji for something, and he's been there pretty much all week, and he decided to do a little fishing, and I'm walking out to my spot, or one of my spots, and I'm looking at Navionics on my phone, and I'm like, oh, man, this guy's set up almost right on where I want to fish. And we all know that can get kind of hairy. So, I mean, I didn't approach with caution, but I was moving along, and then I discovered that he wasn't quite on what I wanted to be on, but he was damn close. And I just, hey, do you mind if I pop a few holes right here? And he's like, no, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I saw you looking at your phone. If I'm in your spot, let me know. I'll move. And I said, well, you're not in anybody's spot. I mean, the lake is public, man. Have at her. But I just don't want to interrupt anything here. I'm just going to punch a few holes. And he said, yeah, go for it. I said, have you been catching any fish? He said, nothing. He's like, okay. So I punch a few holes, find what I'm looking for. And first drop, I laced into a nice rock bass. He was like, oh my God, look at that. And we just got to chatting, and he turned out to be a really cool dude. I cannot remember his name, and maybe he'll be listening to this, but it was a pleasure meeting you. And I invited him over, but he was like, nah, he goes, I think I'm going to get out of here and get some lunch. And so he left. And I proceeded to catch some more fish. I caught, I don't know, a dozen or so rock bass. 11 of them were over 10 inches. I had a couple in there that were like 11 and a quarter or so. It was pretty fun, but the wind had picked up. And after handling wet fish and whatnot, I noticed my three fingertips on my right hand were the first, middle, and ring finger were starting to get a little bit extra cold. And I decided to pack up. And by the time I got back to the car, I was in utter pain. And I looked at my fingertips, and they were pretty close to paper white. Just those three. And it hurt so damn bad that I thought I'm going to have to go to the walk-in clinic, which I didn't. I just came home, brought my stuff in, and the more they warmed up, the more they hurt. Lukewarm water, and needless to say, I didn't get any blistering or anything like that, but they were damn close. And it kind of put in my head how this happened was it was nice out. It was above zero, but I didn't play into the wind that much. I didn't take it into consideration as much because it was warmer out. But lesson learned, man. And I got to try to figure out a way to avoid that. I got to get better gloves with better dexterity. Yeah, and plus, the other factor is my hands aren't quote unquote seasoned from ice fishing from the beginning all the way through to the brutal cold. But either way, I had a good time. I was able to put quite a few bends in the rod, and that felt really, really good. Now, it was the maiden voyage for the Guide Light. I learned a few things. One, I really, really like it. I think it's going to be a really cool unit. On Friday at work, my Amazon package came in, and I got this molded seat that actually is designed for a plastic bucket like that. I got a 6-gallon clam bucket in there. I went with the 6-gallon because it sits up a little higher, so I'm actually sitting on the bottom of this Guide Light. And then the top is, it looks like one of them old metal tractor seats. And it swivels and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a Hawk Industries bucket seat or something like that. Anyway, I found it on Amazon. I've had it in my cart for a while. And that worked out nice. It was really super comfortable. But I have to kind of figure out a way, and I think I have figured out a way to haul the pistol bit. Now, when I went out there, I just had the pistol bit in one hand, the 2B rod bag in the same hand. I had a backpack on, and I was pulling this little guide light sled. It worked out okay. A couple of things. I got to figure out a way to strap that or mount that pistol bit to that guide light. Now, being that I have a 3D printer, you're probably thinking, well, man, you could 3D. No, I'm not going to 3D print anything. I don't want to buy any of the, what are they called? Like your gun rack or auger mounts that would go on a snowmobile rack or anything like that. I think I have a solution that'll work for me. And that is to get some like 1-inch wide nylon webbing strap. And I will rivet one end of it to there. And then the other end, I will put some sort of snap or hook, something like that. Maybe even Velcro, not 100% sure. But I want to go with straps, something fabric to hold it. Because it's just going to be on the side. But having the straps there, instead of this hard plastic or these big clamping jaw things sticking off the side, it doesn't make it very easy to load into a car or into tight places, and they can snap off. So I think I'm going to go with some sort of strapping mechanism like that. So I can just rattle or strap that up along the side of it when I'm in go mode. And it's not sticking out or anything like that. The second thing I need to modify is my 2B rod bag. I really, really like it for storing ice rods. It holds the perfect amount for me. I think it holds that four ice rods. It holds all my jig boxes and plastics and all that kind of stuff. And it has a strap on the back of it. And it's supposed to be like a gunslinger type deal. It goes across over the shoulder and across the chest. Well, I'm a big dude, and that strap is too small. And it's not the first time I've heard this complaint or anything like that. So sitting in the Amazon cart, probably going to come at the end of the week here, backpack straps. I'm going to figure out a way. I might have to learn how to do a little bit of hand sewing, but I want to put backpack straps on that. And if I can do that, then I can eliminate the other backpack that I did have on there. But with all that being said, the StrikeMaster Guide Light little sled that I talked about on the previous podcast episode, it was awesome. I really enjoyed taking it out there. I was comfortable. I was able to sit down, which I have to do because the knees are so horseshit that if I stand on them too long, man, they just swell up and I become virtually damn near immobile. And so that kind of sucks. But it worked out really, really well. I enjoyed it. I was able to pick it up with one hand and load it in the trunk. It fits in the trunk of the car if I take the seat off there. It really works out great. And when I was sitting out there fishing, catching fish, the Guide Light is basically my winter float tube. It's the same concept. I have to really think about what to take with me. And maybe this maiden voyage, I took too much stuff with me. I took, I think 3 rods. Maybe I only need to take 1 or 2. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out before I drill a bunch of holes into this damn thing, which I don't want to do. But it is basically like my ice fishing version of my flow tube. I absolutely love the thing. I can't wait to use it again. We are coming into another little bit of a cold spell, but it looks like the weekend might warm up again. And I'll maybe take her out again. I don't know yet. But I did catch some fish on some of the jigs that I've been tying up on those cold winter nights. And gold tungsten bead with this like olive. It's made by Semper Fi. It's kind of like a really fuzzy chenille. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it comes on a little spool. And it's just really buggy looking stuff. And man, I was really, really happy. The hooks were super sticky. I was using Umpqua jig hooks, barbless, and they really, really worked well. So I was really happy with it. I also got to use the new line that I picked up for these reels, these rods and reels, the Cigar Ice Fluorocarbon. I had no issues with it. Worked really, really well. So yeah, I did a little bit of ice fishing off the guide light, and I absolutely love it. And I think I'm going to continue on with that. Now, I do have an Eskimo 2400 Escape that I got that's still sitting in the box. And I got to thinking about that while I was sitting out on the ice. And part of me wishes if I'd had it, I'd have probably stayed out there. Well, I know I would have stayed out there longer. But the other part of me was like, "Phew, that's a lot of house to be pulling behind you." And then I thought, well, it's still in the box. I should probably get it built. Well, I decided I'm not going to this year. I'm just going to leave it in the box. Truth be told, I probably won't get out where in that weather that would require me to have a flip over house. And if I do, chances are I'm going to be burbot fishing with Crafty, and we always just bring, his one of his outbreaks. The dude's got like 3 or 4 of them. And so I probably would, even if I had it built, I probably wouldn't be using it that much this year, if at all. So I'm just going to leave her in the box. That way the mice won't get to her. And I don't know, after Ellen leaves this summer, or this summer coming up, or this fall, I'll get her put together. And I'll more than likely have a rig that I can haul the thing in too, and that'll make a big difference. So needless to say, I'll be set up. And next year, I'm already thinking about next ice season, and I want to get it back out there a little bit more. It was really nice to kind of take a little bit of a break. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to ice fish the rest of the season. I'm probably going to wait until, I don't know, it truly gets warmer out. That kind of like late ice stuff. Might do a burbot trip here and there. We'll see what happens. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, so that was my Saturday. Froze my fingertips, and that's why I have the title of this podcast the way I do. Frozen booger extractors, because that's exactly what it was. Man, that shit hurts so bad. I know I'm whining, but it is what it is. That's what happened. Sunday just had me chilling, doing that adult stuff, laundry, dishes, grocery shopping. I did cruise out, and I talked to I just kind of hung out with my Uncle Tom for a little bit. Just chewed the fat. Talked a bunch of tech stuff, and talked a little bit about fishing. He kind of misses it, and he also is so busy that he kind of doesn't miss it too. So anyway, that was my weekend. And it like I said, it felt good to get out there and get a little fishing in, use my new toy. I'll work on that modification. I'll get some pictures up on my Instagram as I go through this thing and try to flesh it out and get it built. Last episode, I asked a question. And if you had, or if you do have Wheelhouse, your top 3 movies. Well, thank you so much for all the responses. It was fantastic. And I wrote as many of them down as I could before they disappeared. That's why the next question, you'll see it up on my story or whatever. Try to hit me in the DMs with it. Because I think I did miss some. But anyway, here are some of those responses. And some of them were predictable and some were very unpredictable. So right off the bat, Daniel Johnson, no movies yet. And I know why. Because his house is almost done. I think it is done. He bought a glacier house. He got an 18, and it's awesome, man. It's awesome. But the funny part was, like, I don't know, hours later, his wife, Brooke, jumped in, and she said, I don't know about 3, but I know the first movie that I'm going to watch in it, and that's 50 First Dates, which, you know what? That's a solid movie. And if Daniel doesn't let you watch it, I don't know, tell him to go check out Tip Ups or something, and then fire that thing up. Let it rip. John Marshall, Tombstone, the Yellowstone series, which leads me to another question. Hold on. In his 3rd movie, Step Brothers. Solid choices. Yellowstone series. This isn't part of the next question, but it's got me curious. How many of you guys are streaming out there, out on the ice, and how well does it work for you? That's a really interesting question that I have, because that's basically my viewing is all streaming. I haven't had regular TV or cable TV in 20 years or more. So yeah, hit me, let me know how many of you guys are streaming. Next up, let's see, that was John Marshall. Aaron, I'm not even going to try your last name. Let's see. Prybylski. We'll try that. It's Przybyblski. Anyway, his top 3 movies: Step Brothers, Hot Rod, and any Jackass movie. Fantastic. Hot Rod. I haven't watched that for a long time. I want to definitely check that out. Lawrence Luoma. I kind of knew his already. Slapshot, Tombstone, and Youngblood. 2 hockey movies, solid. There's another Tombstone. That's 2 in a row now. Neil Nelson, Tommy Boy, Sandlot, Perfect Storm, Cold Nation Outdoors, Pete Scholl, Fury, Dazed and Confused, and The Departed. Man, intense. Kevin Simons, Lord of the Rings, and Grumpy Old Men. The Lord of the Rings series, that would be also my pick. I've watched them so many times, and there's so many times that I put them on in the background when I'm doing stuff here in the apartment or just doing stuff in general. I throw them on in the background. Perfect. He also said that he agrees with me, or I agreed with him, not a big fan of Peter Jackson's Hobbit series. But The Lord of the Rings was absolutely fantastic. And, Grumpy Old Men. Which I kind of knew. There was another couple that was all the Grumpy Old Men series, and I kind of predicted that one, and those are classic movies. But that was really fun. So I have another question for you. How many of you, and we're going to stick in the wheelhouse thing for just maybe this question and one more. How many of you, if you had one or you do have one, do you summer camp or plan to summer camp with those things? I've always been that I'm a guy that does a lot of designing for them and always trying to think of things we can put in those houses. Summer camping. I'd like to know more about that. So you know the game by now. If not, here's how you do it. When you hear this question, you're going to find my social media stuff and I'll put it in an Instagram story. I will put the question out there. You go ahead and answer that or put it in DMs, Facebook or Instagram, and I will read them off on the next one, man. This has been fun. I like having this interaction. It's freaking fantastic. Oh, man. I suppose, I don't really have much more to discuss. I thought about giving Crafty a call. He's down in Florida right now. I did talk to him a little bit. I tried FaceTiming him from the lake to show him and prove to him that I was actually out ice fishing and he was at SeaWorld. Hopefully he didn't bring a fishing rod, and if he did, we better see some pics. Boy, that would be a place, huh? I'm going to take another pull of this blue water that I have now. I feel like I'm in Star Wars. Star Wars. I don't know. I might save that rant for an Unhooked at some point, but the show that I just can't stop watching right now is Peacemaker on HBO Max. It is that and Euphoria. Man, awesome shows. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week and you get out there and do a little bit of fishing. I am going to try to get out a couple more times. We'll see what happens with the weather and all that good stuff. But in the meantime, you can find me either here in the Goblin's Den or at the gym, and that's the life that I live right now. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. You guys enjoy your week, and we will talk again soon. Got a big podcast coming up. It's going to be awesome, so be on the lookout for that. It's going to be about, suckers, and that's all I'm going to say. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye now.